Hi, welcome back to the channel. This is episode 8. We're going to be gluing the other half of the worktop today. I just went through and gone through the order, how I want to stick them. Realised that I've got another bowed wood, but I've tried to put that on the outside so it doesn't cause the whole thing to tip over like the last one, or like bend out of that. I mean, it's not too much because I can plane it down and sand it anyway, so it's not the end of the world, but it just saves me a job later on. So I'm going to show you the order I'm going to put them in. So this is how we're going to do it. I've got the other outside of my wood here, so this one underneath, this is going to be the bottom that's going to marry up to the other end of the table. I tried to choose the flattest pieces as possible, as when I clamp it together it's going to need a decent amount of compression, and it's quite wide, at least it's about the same size really as the other one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my stuff ready to glue, and then we're going to glue the tables down. Let me just tip you up a little bit more, there you go, so you can see them from back here. So yeah, we're going to start the gluing process again. We'll glue them together, clamp them down. Hopefully I've ironed out the kinks as I did before, and it should be quite easy to get this nice and flat, so it saves me a bit of a job when it comes to sanding and planing this half of the table. I want to make sure I get them nice and flush before I decide to glue them together, so then there's not so much work afterwards. Yeah, but this is the order we're going to do it. This is the outside of the bottom of, well, the other end of the table. I'm pretty sure it's pretty identical to the plank of wood I used on the outside of the last one, so try and keep it as similar as possible. We've got some few darker bits of wood inside here, give it a nice contrast. But yeah, so same as last time. They're not all married up at the back. Well, when I mean married up, I mean they're not all flush at the back, it's not a flat surface, so I'm going to have to glue it the same way I glued it last time, which put one down, put it like this, compress them down a little bit on each side, flip it on the face, and then hopefully let gravity do its work. But yeah, so we're going to get into it. So I'm going to move these back here. So this is the bottom one. What I did notice last time is when I was putting them together, I wasn't so much concentrating on the end pieces, so I knew I was going to cut them off, but by not doing so, all the table like got long bits at one end and a good short at the other, and so I didn't place them focusing on the smallest planks. So I want the smallest planks to kind of stay in line with each other as they go up, and then I just chop the ends off at the smallest piece. So this time I'm going to be a little bit more cautious when I put them down. I have kind of done it here already, which I've kind of done this the wrong way, so that's the flat on there. So yeah, every piece I bring off is currently sitting on the flat edge. So the flat edge is going to be on this side, so I can just tip the table over that way after it's done. Last time I did it here, so I had to pick the table up and place it on the edge. I'm hoping this way it'll be a bit easier. The only struggle is I'm going to have to keep an eye on the face of it and make sure it doesn't tip. But yeah, we'll figure it out as we go. So same as again before, using our trusty wood glue, and we've got our skimmer here. We're going to use to skim the glue down. Make sure I definitely clean it this time. I forgot last time. Right, a little shake, same as before. Start at one end, zigzag up and down the plank. And then go back over the top and back underneath. Use a bit of hard glue somewhere there. Just making my job a little bit harder. Start this end. Make sure it overspill. It's not so important to get the ends, but it is important to make sure the whole plank of wood has got glue over the surface. Try not to get too much glue everywhere. There's some spots I'm going to have to be a little more generous with the glue, as they're the ones I've filled in. A little more glue already. Right, now next piece. So this is one of my shorter boards, so I'm going to try and put it flat in the middle. So this is going to be orientation, a little bit of pressure. Keep it flat on the surface, so the back bit's getting in my face. Yeah, I've got a lot of spillage this time, so I'm going to have to make sure I put more on the top. This bit doesn't really matter, as it's the bottom anyway, so it's the top here I want a lot more of the squeeze out, as that's going to be my surface. So it's important that there's no real gaps at the top. And if there is, I will fill it in. I'm going to try and get hold of some epoxy as well, so I'm going to epoxy the little holes and stuff. I've got a few knots on the top of the wood which I want to kind of fill in a little bit with some clear epoxy. So yeah, stay tuned for that, as I've never used it before and I really want to. Right. So as long as the face is stuck down, I don't need to worry about it so much time, as I know what I'm doing a bit more this time than I did the last video. I'll try and find something I can use. Yeah. There it is. A bit of hard glue, just make it hard to squeeze out. Get rid of any of the blockage. That's so much glue on my fingers again. Actually, last time where I got blisters and stuff, it absolutely was a nightmare to get the glue off. So I am going to put gloves on this time. just to protect my fingers. I don't really care about these gloves getting glue on or anything, so they're only cheap little gloves I got from when I went go-karting. Right, now the next bit, same as before. Oh, there we go, it's much easier. I'm try and get a good thick layer over the top. That's the bit I want squeeze come out of. I don't really bother about the bottom so much. Pull that. I'll get it glue. Ain't that way, so I'm pushing up this glue to the top. Top. Nice contact for the plank. Apologies if I keep talking and mention the same stuff. Helps concentration from myself. I'm doing stuff. I think I appreciate it can be a bit annoying, so I'm sorry for that. When the glue starts becoming a bit tacky, a bit sticky, sorry. Yet sometimes people might not know what I'm talking about. But when it starts sticking to itself, that's when you know you want to be ready for the next plank. I'm going to take my time a bit more with this one to improve my skills as I'm going. Next plank is a longer one, so I'm going to do it in line, and then ever so over to this side, and then we're going to lightly squeeze. To make sure it gets in those little crevices. There's a bit of a bow in the plank, so it's not marrying up to the surface. So the bow is in the piece I just put down before this, but when it's compressed, you're going to fill the hole. But again, I keep getting a lot more squeeze out this side. Try not to move it too much, but and it's flush, or near enough flush both sides. Give you a nice flat surface. keep that all as clear as possible. And then we'll start on this side. And slightly towards the top, so that when I'm dragging the glue, I'm dragging it above towards the flat surface. Same again. Pull it back. I'm currently bringing a decent amount of glue underneath with a skimmer. So it goes, functionally enough, is about the same width for the planks. So by doing this, it's bringing glue contact with the surface as much as possible. A bit more aggressive on this side, so I want the glue at the top and at the bottom. Drag the glue over to the top. Make sure you have no bare bits of wood. The more glue you have on there, it's making contact with every bit of wood, the better the join, or better the stick on. Sorry, getting confused again. The better the connection between the other side of the wood you put on top. If there's holes or bare bits, then there will be a gap after compression, so it is important. It's not so much important on the longer bits on the end, but as long as the whole face has glue along the whole surface. Alright, now we've got another shorter piece here, so I'm going to try and line it up like that, and then make sure our flat surface is in place, and quite a bit of flat surface on this bit so we're getting a good connection. I can feel it already sticking, which is what we want. I'm just trying to do this to see if it makes a difference in the compression afterwards. My clamp's not the best, so if I can make sure it's reasonably connected and flat, it'll make the process easier, I hope. Not bad. There's a bit of a gap here, but when I put clamps on, that should get dealt with. So a bit of a thicker line here, so there wasn't a lot of glue on that last one. At least it didn't spread across as I thought it would. Try and get that bit of glue close to the edge as possible without directly pulling it off. definitely going to have to get some more glue at some point now. Oh, I can't even tell how much I've used. Feels like I used a good third of it, I imagine. Again, get it flat. So with the shorter ones, we've got to make sure the whole wood is covered in glue. Yeah, I think that was the way to go, a bit more glue. Run the skimmer across it and picking up a decent amount of glue. I don't want to be picking it up as much, so it'll be a bit lighter when I'll pass this over. So you can see what I've been talking about. Stop my camera. So yeah, the whole surface of the wood has a lovely layer of glue to give us the best chance of a good connection with the next piece of wood. That's why this one's a bit of a longer one. Notice I'm wearing a different hoodie this time, because my last one was terrible, getting caught in the glue. These bits of wood are about the same size, which makes it a lot easier when lining them up. And then gently, yeah, I can feel it sliding still. Something like that. Tack it a little bit before we put any compression on it. We don't want the bits of wood from moving on their own. So, yeah, I'm getting a lot more squeeze out now, so I think that's probably the key. But don't be so stingy with the glue. A bit of an odd angle. Didn't realise you can't see me. Or the wood. Do my laptop. Oh, sorry. Oh, that's why. Okay. There we go. A bit more stable. Yeah, much better. Now it should be a bit more tacky. Yeah, there you go. When I can press on it, it's not sliding as much. Make sure keep that surface as flat as possible. Next bit. Background. by doing this, it does give me an opportunity to see where it's level there, or flat. It's where it's not so flat. The glue, as I'm skimming over it, puts a few dry spots. And the next one. It's not as short as the others. That's still pretty short. And it does less on this side than it is here. So I'm just going to leave that to get a bit sticky. Keep an eye on the edges to want this flat. Sure. A bit of a bow going this way, it's just starting to slide this way. Important to make sure it stays level. It's a lot easier with level, even planks, but I don't have a table saw, and trying to saw them down end grain is not something I'm doing right now. Right. I think we're okay to put our next layer on. Right. There's one of the longer pieces. I think it's the same size, so try and get, here it is. Yeah, match it up. Right. That way I can just chop and then chop, oh, saw and saw, not chop. Just realised that I've bothered so much for that bit. Tack it. Now, give it a squeeze. Then zigzag up and down. And then slow, thick layer on the flat edge, or surface edge, or tabletop edge, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't really matter so much because it's the bottom. And as long as the whole surface edge, if you've got a good layer of glue and it's flat enough, it will stick. So a bit shorter on the edge. So connects. Nice glue. Longer pieces. Down. There's some definite improvements just from doing it once before and then doing it again. So I've learned a few extra, well, that's my smaller mistakes. That's one key mistake was I was trying to rush, I was worried about the glue just setting too quickly, but it doesn't really matter as long as it's got a good amount of glue on each surface and then the boards are lined up and I've got a flat edge. hopefully taking it a bit slower will give me that flatter surface on the tabletop. So look like 6 minutes left of the video, that should be enough. Maybe do the top end. If it's a slightly longer video, I'm not really bothered. As long as it's under an hour, I don't want any footage that's too long. One, it takes a while to upload, and two, I'm sure you guys don't really want to watch it for too long. I have a bit of a monotone voice sometimes, so I'm sure you don't want to hear that either. And I realised that that sound you're hearing, the buzzing sound, that's my laptop's fan. So I'm going to figure out a way of making it quieter, as my audio is getting picked up. Well, the audio of the fan is getting picked up continuously. Anybody that's knows how to use Streamlabs to get rid of that, please let me know. As I'm sure it would make my videos far more enjoyable to watch without a buzzing fan all the time. But I'm also behind an alleyway, so you've got cars and all sorts moving down outside, so can't hear birds above me. I'm not sure if you can hear that. Quite relaxing though. Next bit is the shorter one. Short planks. Flat edge. Be careful when you're applying pressure, obviously, but we will make it move. I'm doing a little bit more careful this time to make sure each plank of wood is lined up, so that when it squeezes with the clamps, it's not all going to shift. And that's probably why it didn't work out so well the first time I tried to glue. I need some more glue soon. Probably don't have to use as much as I'm using. I really want to make sure this table is not going to fall apart mid-stream or mid-video while I'm using it and being a little bit more rough with it. So for the short ones, same again, make sure nice bit of glue on the end. Look at this split in the wood there, so it's really nice about gluing the crack. Hopefully it should help keep it together. Just put the ends. Plane this side a bit better until it's not as flat as it should be. The good thing about trying this for myself without any experience is that I'm learning as I'm doing it. So I'm going to get better as I go. I mean, it's not going to change the outcome of the job, because the glue is always going to do the work anyway. But what it will do is make the process of doing it a lot smoother. It's slightly bigger than the others, all the smaller pieces. How far are we in? We're really past that 45 mark, so it's probably about an hour. So if you want to know whether it's tacky or not, if you push down on the bits of wood that are not completely flush, you'll hear it sticking, and as it's separating, that's when you know. Or I'm guessing that's when you know you're good to go for the next piece of wood. So it shouldn't move too much then. So definitely used pretty much about half that glue already now. It's not the exact science, but probably definitely used a bit more glue than necessary. But like I said, I want this to last me a good while, and I want to make sure I do a good enough job, because otherwise it's going to deter me from doing it again. So I'll make sure I give it my best effort. So regardless whether it's not the best bench, it's something I can be proud of. I'm probably a little bit too self-critical with my own work and my own performance. That's my baseboard. Furthest bit on the outside, so like that. And we'll put a little bit of pressure. Right, on to the last bit of glue. Well, last bit of gluing for this video. Finally, another fast super stack pattern. Well, God, I struggle speaking sometimes. Put a little bit extra glue here to get the gouge out the wood. That was the piece I was looking for the other night. I forgot. I tucked it away over there. I'm definitely have to buy some more glue before I do the next part of the bench. So I want to use three slats of pallet wood for each leg. So I need another 12 slats, which is really difficult to get hold of. But there's a lot more glue, which I don't know if I have enough to do the legs and all. Probably do, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. See, this is what I was getting all over my fingers, and then where I've had blisters and stuff and the skin's come off, it was sticking to it, and I don't know whether I was pulling off fresh skin or pulling off glue at some point, so I'm a little more cautious. See a bit of a dry spot over here. If you don't enjoy listening to me talk, feel free to just mute me. I won't take it personally, trust me. I'm just so used to listening to myself talk that it doesn't bother me. I have been told It can be quite annoying. Or I talk too much. More than once. Find a bit. Just gonna find my ends. Apply a bit of pressure. Yeah, this one's probably going to be a bit longer. I haven't even clamped them yet. So these are my F clamps from the last video. I don't know which one it was that kept on failing me. Probably not this one seems like it holds on. Right, so we're going to come in from this side because this side's going flat. So we're going to do 2 on the ends. So gently. No. Just about. Whoa. So as soon as you apply a bit of pressure, they move and rise. Get one on that side as quick as possible. Right. That. It should be good. Turn it on its face. And stick it. Pressure. I just got 2 of the better clamps on the outside. It's important I get one of the good ones on the inside, in the middle. So, hopefully this is one of them. Make sure when you're clamping it down, they are close to the middle. See it. It's compression. over. It's not as level on one side as to the other. If I had more clamps, I'll put a bit of glue on top to brace it, but I don't. I'll probably just use 5 clamps. There is one which doesn't hold. I don't know which one it is. I have a feeling like that one. Still hear the teeth on it. So. Obviously, the more clamps you have, the better the compression. Originally there. Oh. No, see? This one just goes straight down. I think what I've done is worn out the teeth. Yeah, that one seems like the one I've used the most. This one, okay, biting as it's going down. Yeah, probably not good anyway. In the middle of the wood. Get through and tighten out the clamps. This one needs to be redone. go. Right, I'm going to throw this one on anyway. I know it's not the best. As Tesco says, every little helps. Not plug for Tesco's. Shit out of me, but still. Terrible. Just slide it down. Totally pointless. Right, nice and done up and there you go. Now it's compressed. It's a bit flatter, and that's because this side is off the table. I'm pretty sure the surface I'm using is level, but from here this board from here to the outside. Bird walking on the top. Right, this is getting quite a long video, but I'm not going to edit it. So thank you very much for joining me. If you made it this far, I really appreciate it. I know it's probably a bit boring sitting here watching for an hour. A lot of people don't really like long form content anymore. They're more interested in shorts and stuff, but I prefer long form content. I prefer watching it, I prefer making it. Gives me an opportunity to talk, and I'm in no rush. If you're in a hurry in that, I guess it's probably not the best videos to watch, but if you're bored, you've got nothing to do, and you just want to put something on, scroll through your phone, then feel free to put my videos on, as they are quite long, and you'll get a good idea of who I am and what I've been through and what I plan on making. Sorry, I'm distracted by the wood. But anyway, thank you very much for joining me. I really appreciate it. If you have made it this far in the video, you're an absolute diamond. I know they can be long, so I really do really appreciate it. If you did make it this far, do us a favour, drop Kiwi in the comments, as I find it funny to see if someone's actually watched the video, and also if I've literally told everyone to put a bit of fruit after every single one of my videos, so it'd be quite funny for the new people that come along and find my channel to see a bunch of fruit all named at the end of the videos, and until they actually watch it they won't know why. So that'd be our little secret. Thank you very much. I don't know, there is one else. Right, I'll see you in episode 9, so peace.